Alright, welcome to today's case study. In today's case study, we will be talking about safety gloves discharge. Next slide, thank you. So, the introduction. I will present to you with some safety statistics that have occurred in 2014. So, workplace deaths account for more than 4,600 employees in 2014 alone. That means that that's 13 deaths every day in America. Workplace safety is a serious issue that employees should not ignore. It also causes unnecessary lawsuits that the businesses must address every year. So that means that the businesses have to give a portion of the money that they make to employees that incur unnecessary injuries during the daily workday. Next slide. So, my selected position and overview of the main points. My position in the case study is that I am a labor relations manager, and that means from the Villanova online website describes a labor relations manager as someone who uses skills to negotiate and use knowledge of labor law to maintain an organization's positive relationship with its employees. The lady we are examining today that is involved in this case, her name is Erin McNamara, and she should have been fired, of course, due to her constant warnings to the company when they warned her about safety standards. When looked at the general purpose of agreements, she broke multiple different rules, which any of them could have resulted in her dismissal. Next slide. So, the case study overview. Erin McNamara was an employee for the Barrera Recycling Company, and regularly for 20 years, and is represented by the local Chapter 37 of the United Papers Workers International Union. McNamara's job at the site was handling bundles of newspaper and also sorting through extra glass and sharp objects that would also be brought in with the recycling. McNamara did not like using her gloves when performing the paper because it would hinder her from being able to cut the bands that the newspaper was held around, so she thought it was more efficient to not use her gloves. But in that case, she would also present a safety hazard because if she had to do any of the other sorting, it would have sharp objects which could cut her badly. So already she had been given a 3-day suspension for the safety issues, and she was caught reading a magazine on the job and was issued a final warning if any rules are broken in the 12-month period that she will be fired. And McNamara left her gloves in her pickup truck on the last day that she was given this warning, and the management allowed her to fetch it, but after they chose to let her go because they didn't think that she was deserved another chance because she already had that last warning. Next slide. The description of the position and why. Erin McNamara was justified in her dismissal from her job due to her repeated attempts at ignoring safety procedures. Before Erin was even moved to Los Angeles facility, she had verbal reprimands that were about safety issues that she refused to follow. So she had issues coming into this job. 2 of the reprimands were about sleeping at meetings about safety. 2 more safety violations had to deal with failure to wear safety gloves and a hard hat. And the final warning was when she was found reading Sports Illustrated when she should have been working. She was finally let go after she got her gloves, of course, in her work truck. And she might have been able to avoid the discipline if she didn't sleep at the meetings, because these meetings let you know about the safety issues. Next slide. Okay, ensure specific question is answered. So my job at the plant is to keep good relations with the workers and to help articulate management expectations with the employees. The main piece of paperwork that helps protect the business from legal action is the general purpose of agreement, which outlines causes for immediate discharge. Some of these cases that apply to Erin is disobedience, neglect of duty, refusal to comply with plant rules, and sleeping on the duty, and reading books or magazines. So any of these could cause her to be immediately discharged, but the company allowed her to have multiple warnings to keep going. She was also given a written letter that stated that if she made one more work violation in the 12 months of working, she would be fired. And that is a very direct way of letting them know when it's in paper instead of a verbal reprimand. Next slide. So provide research. So according to the claims journal that the top 10 causes of workplace injuries, being struck by an object cost $5.3 billion in worker compensation in 2014, and struck by an object or equipment also cost businesses $1.76 billion in worker compensations. Both are dangers Erin could have accumulated if she wasn't wearing her gloves or her hat. Employees were also avoiding the workplace accidents by discouraging workers to speak up. A federal proposal was made to create the first public database of detailed workplace safety information accidents, and the problem with that is if Erin got injured and the business had reported in the database, then it would look bad on the business even though it was Erin's fault for ignoring the safety precautions. Next slide. Okay, so select a plan for action. The correct outcome for this case is Erin not to file the report successfully and for the case to be thrown away. But if this happens, I would implement a new system of how to deal with the unions and with the workers when it comes to workplace injuries. I believe the best way to go about dealing with the unions is by taking a paternalistic strategy and substitute the union. A paternalistic strategy, according to the book, is one that empowers employees and establishes conditions of commitment and responsibility. There should be complaint or grievance procedures that help employees who were fired to have a chance to review the case, but in Erin's case, she should not have been given another chance because she's had so many different reprimands. So there still should be a way that employees can come to management and talk about if they have problems with the decisions that management makes about them. This paternalistic strategy would also keep unions from making them come into the business because it would make them obsolete by having a good labor relations with the employees. The employees at the plant avoid the safety features, so one way of making sure that they adhere by them is increasing pay or creating a reward system that pays for having good safety. So if employees can go through a couple months without not incurring any injuries, they could be paid a bonus at the end of the year or gather points so that they could accumulate some sort of wealth or benefits from being safe. Next slide. So conclusion. Workplace safety is one of the most important aspects of businesses because it keeps employees healthy while not costing the business money. The increase in workplace injuries means that businesses, like the recycling plant, have to pay money to each employee who gets hurt. Erin was justified in her dismissal because she repeatedly would not abide by the safety procedures and was warned 7 times not to break the safety rules. Erin would have blamed the business if she was hurt, and the business would have gotten in trouble if they fired her after she was hurt with no compensation. By improving the safety system of the company, like rewarding employees for practicing good safety, they could prevent unions from taking action and also improve the work environment by making it safer, and employees would also be paid more. Thank you.